Hello and welcome to the second in this series of short messages based on the Jewish festival of Hanukkah. At the start of the second day there are 2 candles to be lit, and the blessings to be said, and a special prayer of thanks and praise to be said. There seem to be different customs and practices about the precise order in which these things are done, one of which is to treat the placing of the candles as part of the ceremony itself, and just to place the number that are required for the day, which in this case is 2. So I'll start by placing those 2, working from the right hand side of the Hanukkah, and then the next step will be to light the servant candle and hold the servant candle whilst actually saying the blessings. So I'll try and make sure that's well lit. And we'll say the blessings, and it's just 2 blessings today, as it will be for the rest of the festival. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments and commanded us to kindle the Hanukkah light. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who performed miracles for our forefathers in those days at this time. And so the next step now is to light the other candles, the candles for the day, working from the left this time. So the candles are placed working from the right, but they're actually lit working from the left. Our 2 candles for the day. And then the lighting of the candles is followed by the special Hanayro Hallelu prayer of thanks and praise, and I'll recite that again in English. We kindle these lights to commemorate the saving acts, miracles and wonders which you have performed for our forefathers in those days at this time through your holy priests. Throughout the 8 days of Hanukkah, these lights are sacred, and we are not permitted to make use of them, but only to look at them in order to offer thanks and praise to your great name for your miracles, for your wonders, and for your salvations. On the first day of the festival, I mentioned that the Jews had gone through a period of extreme difficulty before their victory over the Syrian Greek army and the rededication of the temple in Jerusalem. To understand more fully why Hanukkah is important to the Jewish people, let's consider that period in more detail today. The relevant period in history came after the time of Alexander the Great, who led the Greek armies to conquer a huge empire. Alexander died at the age of 36, and the empire was divided between his 4 generals. The land of Israel lay in between the region ruled by the Ptolemies in the south and the Seleucids in the north. These 2 groups fought each other for a long time, and some of their battles were prophesied in the book of Daniel, where the ruler of the Seleucids is referred to as the king of the north, and the ruler of the Ptolemies is referred to as the king of the south. Eventually, the Seleucids gained control of the area, including Israel, and under King Antiochus Epiphanes, they tried to force the Jews to worship Greek gods, along with forcing all the other peoples in their kingdom to do the same. Antiochus forbade circumcision. He ordered the Jews to build shrines to idols and to sacrifice pigs. He erected a statue of Zeus in the temple in Jerusalem and built an altar on which to make sacrifices to it. And he prohibited the practice of the Jewish law, punishable by death. Many of the Jewish leaders and the people did embrace that Greek culture, but for any devout Jews in the land, the choice was stark. Turn away from God or die. The The first book of Maccabees, one of the apocryphal books, informs us that an elderly priest named Matthias fled Jerusalem and mourned greatly about the situation, saying, "Alas, why was I born to see this, the ruin of my people, the ruin of the holy city, and to live there when it was given over to the enemy, the sanctuary given over to aliens." Mattathias had 5 sons, and when the king's official came to their town to force them to worship Greek gods, he refused publicly, saying, "Even if all the nations that live under the rule of the king obey him and have chosen to obey his commandments, every one of them abandoning the religion of their ancestors, I and my sons and my brothers will continue to live by the covenant of our ancestors. Far be it from us to desert the law and the ordinances. We will not obey the king's words by turning aside from our religion to the right hand or to the left." When he had finished speaking, another Jew went forward to offer a sacrifice on the altar, and Mattathias burned with anger about it. He ran forward and killed that Jew on the altar. Then he turned and killed the king's officer who was forcing them to make the sacrifices, and he tore down the altar. He cried out in the town with a loud voice, saying, "Let everyone who is zealous for the law and supports the covenant come out with me." Then he and his sons took to the hills and left all that they had behind them in the town. That was the start of the revolt against the Seleucids. Being few in number, the Jews had to fight what is known as a guerrilla war against them. But they did so successfully, even winning several major battles. Mattathias died soon after the beginning of the revolt, but his son Judah is credited as being a gifted leader and military tactician, key to their success in defeating their enemies. So the time of rededication of the temple in Jerusalem was a time of great rejoicing for devout Jews, a time to celebrate God granting them victory over their persecutors against all the odds, and putting the temple back in their own hands so that they could resume worship of God as they had been taught through Moses. In following the Hanukkah festival, we can also remember other occasions when God has granted his people a significant victory, and we can look forward to the fact that God's final victory is certain. Let's close this evening's session with a song by Joshua Aaron, whose ministry have given us permission to use his songs. Thanksgiving is a central aspect of Hanukkah, and this song is titled "Give Thanks to the Lord." It is sung in a mixture of English and Hebrew, and starts with the words, "He is the light unto the nations." The chorus, "Hodu l'Adonai ki tov, ki leolam hasto," means give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever.
He is the light unto the nations. He is our refuge in the storm. He is our peace in tribulation. He is our hope, the Holy One. Hodu l'Adonai ki tov, ki le'olam chasto. Hodu l'Adonai ki tov. Here we bow in adoration, giving thanks for all he's done. Here we stand in revelation. We are redeemed, redeemed by the Son. Hodu, Hodu l'Adonai ki tov. His love endures. Oh, He is good forever. Sing it together with me. Oh, He is good. Oh, He is good. Oh, His love endures. Oh, He is good forever. For He is good, and His love endures.